go to the ACC. Let's talk about an undefeated Miami, Florida team traveling to Bobby Dodd, Georgia Tech. Is Haynes King going to be healthy? Do we think, CD?
I hope so, man. Boy, do I hope so, because they're going to need him if they're going to keep up with Cam Ward and this offense. Remember last year, this was the game that Miami was up late, right? And they could have just taken a knee, and then all of a sudden, boom, strip sack, or they stripped a running back, and then the Yellow Jackets bounced on it, and Haynes King had a touchdown. I think the Christian Leary, I want to say, but regardless, it was crazy, by the way. And then obviously Miami and Cristobal and that whole program took a lot of flack for that. Much different vibes coming this one. Miami is playing very good football. I know they haven't looked super squeaky clean perfect in the ACC, but they're getting by, they're getting wins, and that offense is humming. Georgia Tech's defense is not anywhere near dominant, right? I don't think anyone would argue against me with that. So they're going to need a guy like Haynes King to be healthy and play good football for them to have a chance to keep up with Cam Ward. Because I don't like Pyron and the young kid Philo. They're not the answers. And yes, I like Philo's for his future, but Haynes King is a difference maker for you, and he can be when he's on, he can be a guy that can compete with Cam Ward in terms of keeping up in the ball game.
Yeah, I agree. And I was a little higher on Zach Pyron because remember Zach Pyron, battled with Haynes King just a year ago, all the
Yeah.
way down to the finish line. And they when I say they have a similar skill set, they both can use their legs pretty effectively. So I wasn't too concerned about it these last couple of weeks. Like heading into, I'm like, oh, they still got Zach Pyron, but yeah, it has been a big difference. All right, and Haynes King is you know something that he hasn't done in the past that he's actually done a pretty solid job this year. Or I should say a better job is taking care of the football. When Haynes King is taking care of the football and they're running the ball well, which by the way, Miami defensively has been pretty vulnerable. We know that Buster Faulkner is probably one of the better offensive coordinators in the ACC in terms of like playing to the level of his talent and his opponent and finding a way to scheme things open. And Miami's run defense is probably what's been strong, and generating explosive plays has been something that other teams have been able to accomplish on them. I'm not sure if Georgia Tech's going to be able to run the ball, with down and down consistency, but you better believe if Haynes King's in the game, there can be some explosive plays that happen. I actually worry a lot for Miami in this spot. You got to go on the road. Mario Cristobal on the road against a team that is very good. Brent Key is very good against highly rated football teams and talented ones at that. So if I was Miami, I'd be a little bit concerned and might see me talk about Georgia Tech later on in maybe two different segments. So I like the Yellow Jackets at this spot. I'm gonna take the Yellow Jackets to cover plus 11.5, and I guess I'll take Miami to win the football game. Georgia Tech to cover. Of course, Cam Ward loves playing like unbelievable Hall of Fame level quarterback play in the fourth quarter. So he's done a really nice job, back against the wall, finding ways to come back. Like he's never out of the game. So I'm not gonna like just say, hey, Miami's gonna lose here, although they definitely could. I mean,
Yeah.
plus 380 is not crazy for
Not
Georgia Tech to win straight up.
Not at all. And listen, I wrote down here like, so what happens? What's the way for Georgia Tech to win? Right, Haynes King has to play number one. Right, hopefully you get your linebacker
Mm-hmm.
back healthy too. In effort, Cal effort, you got to run the ball. Right, you got to control time of possession to make Cam Ward be perfect, and just hope he's not because if he's playing like he can play, the reality is you could probably easily cover. You could probably give Miami, the world of hurt and really make them struggle and win this one on the road at Georgia Tech. But when Cam Ward is on, this team is too talented. I think to lose this football game. I like Miami to win, just like you though. I'll take Georgia Tech to cover, especially if Haynes King plays. If he doesn't play, right, I might consider getting on Miami's side, especially in our best bets. So look out for our Twitter on that. But man, oh man, this is one where it seems like Miami has been sleepwalking, right, through a couple of these games here. And Louisville, they just turned it on at some point, and they got to win there. But I think Georgia Tech is a team that can do damage. Like Duke, to me, is not a team that can if you play your B minus game, your C plus game for 2-3 quarters, that they can really take advantage of you, especially if there's a huge talent gap. To me, Georgia Tech, that's a much less talent gap. This team is super explosive, super dangerous. I do think that this is a spot, absolutely, like you said, where Miami could be in trouble. And for them, now it's nice that Clemson did lose because they gave you some kind of wiggle room there in terms of your ACC standings if you were to lose one of your last remaining games. But the other hand, too, like you want a first round bye, you want to have a lot of wiggle room. You want your highest seed possible, especially if you are not a perfect team, which they are not. You want to be able to have your best matchups in the playoff, which is fantastic that we're talking about that in year 3 of Cristobal right now, and year 1 of Cam Ward, year 1 of 1 with Cam Ward. Obviously, that's working out very, very well. But he can make mistakes. Like I said, he can make mistakes. He has to be perfect, and just hope he's not. If he makes some boneheaded throws, you have to take advantage of them. Do what Florida could not do against Georgia, and really pounce on them, and kind of, really take hold and momentum of this game, and make Cam Ward and Miami really, really be uncomfortable. But they've also been in spots all year. They, not that they're battle tested, but they kind of are, right? In terms of,
Yeah,
like you said,
close football
coming from
games. Yeah.
behind, close football games, adversity. And that's what Cam Ward's at his best. So it's very fun. Obviously, Georgia Tech, they're 5-4 right now. They are 1 win away from a bowl game. They still have Miami. They got NC State in a couple weeks, and then Georgia in Athens. They're 2 top 4 teams, and then NC State team that's playing a lot better football right now as it stands. So if they want to go bowling, right, it's kind of do or die time. Hopefully, Haynes King can be healthy off the bye. Does it help you at all? Right? Do you think it's a big advantage, Georgia Tech off a bye?
Um. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, one, you get a chance for Effort and King to get healthy, right? But yeah, I do think it is an advantage. You're more rested up for what's bound to be a really physical matchup because Miami, we know, can bring it on both sides of the line of scrimmage. So that I think that's a big deal. I think that's a big deal, and I think you're looking at. Can we say that it's the best coaching staff in the ACC? Can we say that? Is that reasonable?
Miami's?
No, sorry, Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I feel. I mean, the DC is Santucci, right, and
Yeah,
Buster Falk.
and
Like, yeah,
Falk.
in terms of coordinators and head coaching level, very, very good, very well respected. I love what I see from both of them, or all three of them, really.
Yeah, like it it could be the best in the ACC. Could be, in terms of like right now, what we've seen, like playing to expectations, right?
Yeah, because it's not
With the
NC
talent
State
that they
right
have,
now.
no, it's not, and yeah, they're not playing to expectations, and Clemson might not be playing to expectations either, or some people's expectations, and yeah, so I love this coaching staff at home against a giant.
They haven't
Miami's feeling
gotten one
good
yet.
because Miami's feeling good. Clemson just coming off a loss. Miami feels like they got a cakewalk. Georgia Tech, all of a sudden,